All right, Scott, this is a super light bait. You got to have a specialty rod, reel, line combination. How are we working this bait? It's got to be challenging to cast that tiny little jig out there.
Yeah, when it gets wet, it certainly makes it better. So when you first throw the first couple, it's only going to go 20 yards maybe. And it doesn't have to be rocket science either. I've found that a 2500 series reel will work. 3000 is my preference because it's got a bigger spool. It allows the line to come off a little cleaner. For the most part, 10 to 15 pound braid, something that you can throw a long distance, and it is critical in the detection of that bite because it's such a subtle bite. And then your leader line, I typically put 3 feet, 4 feet. If you want to tie, you can go much longer than that if you're going to be retying a lot. But I find that if I just have about a 4-foot leader, that's really all you need in fluorocarbon, and just make a long cast. This rod in particular is the 711. For the most part, they're medium light rods.
So that's a long.
It's a long rod
to get that casting distance.
It's like they kind of call them buggy whips. Mm-hmm. And you can hear, you can hear the cast when guys are making it. Almost you can hear the whoosh, whoosh, and you're just throwing that braid. But if you don't have braid, it's really difficult to detect that cast, the strike I should say, when it's out in 30, 40 yards away from the boat.
You said 3 to 4 foot of line.
Yeah.
That's fluorocarbon? What do we 8-pound test?
Yeah, I prefer 7 to 10. If you're catching really big fish, you're in shallow water. 10 or 12 will also work. I think you want to kind of determine what you're after. If you're catching these giants and they're in shallow and you're catching 6-pounders, in shallow water, they'll still bite it quite well. But when you get out in that deep water, I like to stay in that 8 foot. It helps the bait get a little lower too.
Okay. When the fish bites this bait, what's it feel like, and what type of hook set are you using to keep these fish pinned?
Right, so to me, when we're fishing, you make the cast, let her settle for the depth that you're in, and then just start the retrieve. And it's a very, very slow retrieve. And I think that's key. I'll just make a quick cast here off the side of the boat. Make the cast, hits the water, engage the reel, and you're just slowly turning this reel. The slower you can go, the better. And I'm only in a couple feet of water. I'm bouncing a rock right now. But that's essentially what you're doing, is just a very, very slow, steady retrieve. But I want to point out that keep the rod pointed straight at the bait, almost water level. And the bite will feel like it just a tap. And it's very pronounced, but it'll be tap. And then all I do is pull hard. I've got almost an 8-foot rod here. Pull the rod straight up. The rod's gonna have bow in it. At that point, really the fish is already hooked himself. They have nowhere to go. The biggest mistake I see most people doing when they first start doing is to set the hook and crank real hard. They've got nowhere to go. There's really nothing out there that'll really, the fish will usually come up and fight. And that's really all there is to it. Take your time. You want to fight the fish out there, not at the side of the boat.
Bass U, folks. Information is pouring over. If you want to learn more about every lake, how to fish shallow, deep, in between, skipping docks and rocks and cranking, slow wiggling, chatter, smattering, you get it at Bass U. Get on Bass U TV, check it out, sign up, be a member, be part of it, folks. Keep learning.